How did one edited Instagram post turn into a judge reading out orders while I sat there with an overdrawn account and no husband? Why am I the one broke and alone now, watching him smile beside another woman, when all I did was crop him out of a picture and look for a little excitement? What if the jealous, controlling man I mocked was actually the only one playing fair from the start? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. My name is Eustacia Vale, and I always believed that respect follows results. I worked hard to be someone people notice, online, at work, at parties. I was not going to fade into the background just because I became a wife. I told myself that a woman like me should never look small in a photo, never look like an accessory to someone else's life. That night on the rooftop bar, the city lights felt like they were for me. It was my birthday, and there were candles, cocktails, and music loud enough to cover any awkward silence. My friends laughed and took videos of me spinning in my new dress. Tam kept saying that the whole place was my stage. I loved how people turned when they heard our group shouting and cheering for me. Noah stood near the railing, holding my spare jacket and the small gift bag he had brought. He had taken a day off to surprise me. He told me earlier that he wanted a quiet dinner, just the two of us. I said there would be time for that later, but tonight I needed a big night. He looked tired, but he came. That should have been enough for him, in my opinion. At one point, he came over and asked why I had not taken a picture with him yet. He said he wanted at least one photo together on my birthday. I smiled in a way that told him to relax and said there was still time, but the light was perfect now and my friends needed group shots. In my mind, couple photos felt old. I wanted to look free, fun, in demand, not like some settled wife. Luca, the photographer we worked with, was there too. He had brought his camera even though it was not an official shoot. He said he wanted practice with low light, but I knew he also liked any excuse to be close to me. He said the first few shots looked amazing, and that I should post them as soon as possible. He said followers love real-time content. I told myself it was just work talk, even when his hand rested a little too long on my waist as he adjusted my pose. Noah saw Luca touching me and moved closer. He asked if everything was okay, and if I needed anything. I felt annoyed. I told him behind a laugh that he was hovering and making things weird. I said he should enjoy himself and stop worrying. He stepped back, but his face closed up in that way I hated. The quiet, heavy look. The one that makes other people think you did something wrong, even when you did nothing. Later, we all squeezed together near the edge of the roof for the main group photo. I stood in the middle. Luca moved next to me without asking. Tam pulled in close on the other side. Noah ended up at the far edge, partly blocked by a tall friend from work. When Luca showed us the picture on the screen, everyone said I looked like the star. I did. My smile was perfect, my hair perfect, the city behind me like a movie. When we got home, I went straight to the couch and opened Instagram. I scrolled through the shots. In most of them, Noah looked stiff, half in shadow. He broke the line of fun in the center. I thought about how the picture would look on my feed. I told myself that if I kept him in, people would focus on him instead of me. They would say I was just someone's wife. I did not want that, so I cropped him out. I moved the frame until only the bright faces were in it. Me, Luca, Tam, and the others, leaning in toward me. Noah's body vanished from the edge. It looked like a perfect group of friends, like the kind of life people envy. I could still hear Noah in the kitchen, rinsing glasses, putting leftovers in containers. That sound annoyed me too. It felt too domestic for the life I wanted to show. I wrote a caption that suggested my partner did not even show up. I said that sometimes you have to celebrate yourself, even when someone else does not. I pressed post. Within minutes, the likes began to climb. Comments rolled in about how stunning I looked, how strong I was, how I deserved the world. Some people added little hints that I should not settle for someone who does not match my energy. I did not correct them. Why would I? They were finally saying what I wanted to hear. Noah came into the living room with 2 mugs of tea. He set one on the coffee table in front of me. He asked if I had posted the group photo. His voice was calm, but I could feel the tension under it. I told him yes, and that it had already got a lot of engagement. He asked if he could see it. When I handed him the phone, I watched his face change slowly as he realized he was not in the picture at all. He did not raise his voice. He just asked where he was, since he remembered standing in the shot. I said I had to crop the image for the composition. I said the frame looked better that way, and that it was nothing personal. When he pointed out that the caption made it sound like he did not come, I laughed and said people would not take it literally. I said it was just a joke, just social media. I told him he was being too sensitive, and that nobody likes a man who cannot handle a little humor online. He went quiet. That annoyed me more than any yelling would have. I told him that other husbands would be proud to have a wife who looked like me, and that he should be thankful. I said if he worked on himself, maybe he would feel more confident and not care about a silly crop. In my head, I was fixing him, giving him a chance to level up. He said he supported me and always would, but that he did not like feeling erased. I told him he was making this about himself and ruining my good mood. I said I was tired and had done nothing wrong. The likes on my post kept climbing. I held up the phone and said that the numbers proved I knew what I was doing. He took his mug back to the kitchen. I heard the tap run. I did not follow him. I was too busy answering comments and messages. Tam had already sent me a screenshot of the post with a line about how iconic the crop was. She said that this was the start of my new era. I smiled and replied that maybe it was. After some time, Noah came back and picked up his own phone from the counter. I saw the screen light up as he unlocked it. There was a calendar app open. For a second, before he turned the phone slightly away, I saw a reminder blocked in for the next week. It just said, downtown, 10:45 a.m., with no other notes. He noticed me looking and locked the screen. Then he placed his phone face down on the table next to his mug and said he was going to bed. I stayed on the couch, glowing under the blue light of my screen, telling myself that anyone who really loved me would understand why being cut out of a picture should not matter as much as how good I looked in it. The next morning, I went to work, feeling like I had won something. My post was still getting likes and comments. People had shared it to their stories, with little fire emojis and jokes about men who don't show up. I checked it on the train and smiled at my own face more than anything else. I told myself this was proof that my instincts were right. At the office, the open plan floor was already buzzing. Keyboards clicked, phones rang, chairs rolled back and forth. Our team corner looked out over the street, and the screens on the walls showed campaign numbers. I walked in a little late on purpose. I wanted people to see me arrive, see the dress I picked, see that I was still in birthday mode. Tam waved her hand as soon as she saw me and said I had broken the internet with that crop. Of course, she did not use those exact words, but that was the tone. She showed me her phone with a screenshot of my post and of some comments from people we did not even know in real life. I laughed and said I had not even tried that hard. She said I should keep pushing this independent queen angle. She said followers love a girl who doesn't let a man drag her down. Luca came into the office a little later, carrying his camera bag even though it was just a planning day. He walked straight to my desk and asked how my birthday had gone, pretending he did not already know. I said it was fun and that the pictures came out great. He said he had checked my profile and that my engagement rate was higher than some of our clients. I liked how he said it, like I was an asset, not just a person. He asked if I had any time that day to go over ideas for a new campaign. I said my schedule was tight, but I could squeeze in a coffee. He smiled like he knew that would happen. Tam raised her eyebrows in that teasing way, but she did not say anything out loud. She did not need to. She would bring it up later. I opened my email and saw a message from Noah. It was short. He asked how my morning was and hoped I had a good day. At the bottom, he added a line, asking if we could talk later about the post and about how I was feeling. I sighed and rolled my eyes a little. I typed back that I was busy and that I did not want to have the same sensitive conversation again. I said we would talk when he could handle a joke. Around mid-morning, I got a text from him saying that he had looked at our budgeting app and wanted to go over some expenses. He said he noticed some charges that did not look familiar. I knew what he meant: cocktails, Uber rides, a dress I had bought without telling him the full price. Nothing huge, in my opinion. I answered that I was at work and that he should relax because everything was under control. I said he was acting like a strict father instead of a partner. Before lunch, Luca came by my desk again and asked if I was ready for that coffee. I said yes and grabbed my phone. As we walked out through the open-plan office, I could feel people glancing up. I liked that. It made me feel like a main character. At the cafe around the corner, we ordered drinks and sat at a small table near the window. He asked more about Noah in that casual way. He said he had seen the caption and wondered if everything was okay at home. I told him that Noah was too serious and did not understand my life. I said he did not support my online presence and got jealous over nothing. I made it sound like I was trapped with a man who wanted to shrink me. Luca nodded and said a woman like me should not be dimmed. He said it was a shame when a partner could not keep up with someone bright. I felt seen. While we were talking, I heard my phone buzz. I glanced down and saw a notification from the budgeting app. Login failed, password changed. I frowned for a second. Luca asked if everything was all right. I said it was just my husband being dramatic about money again, and then I put my phone face down and changed the subject. I did not want to think about joint accounts when I was being admired. We spent longer there than we should have. I showed him some ideas for a campaign, but we also talked about travel, music, and stupid memes. He leaned closer as the cafe got louder. Our shoulders touched sometimes. I did not pull away. In my mind, it was innocent, just two creative people with chemistry. I told myself I deserved a little thrill, especially after all the pressure at home. When I finally went back to the office, Tam met me near the elevators. She asked how my meeting went, clearly using the word with extra meaning. I laughed and said it was productive. I hinted that Noah was already upset about Luca, and Tam said I might as well enjoy the drama, since men overreact either way. She said it jokingly, but I liked the sound of it. Being at the center of drama meant being at the center, period. During lunch, I sat with some coworkers and let the conversation drift toward relationships. I talked about partners who can't handle a woman who shines online, without naming Noah at first. When someone asked directly, I told them he had made a big deal about a simple crop. I said he wanted me to post boring couple pictures and hide my real life. I did not mention that he had taken the day off for my birthday or paid for most of the night. The others nodded in sympathy. Some said men were insecure. One coworker said that in this generation, if you cannot handle your partner having followers, you should not date. I agreed loudly. I loved that feeling of support, even though they did not know the full story. It felt like proof I was right. In the afternoon, I noticed that the joint account on my banking app showed fewer details than before. Some tabs were locked, and there was a note about permissions being updated. I felt a small shock, but I covered it with anger. I told myself he was trying to control me financially because he could not control me socially. When he texted later asking if I had seen the update, I replied that cutting me out of the money after I made one joke made him look petty. I said any court would agree with me, even though I had not really thought about courts before that moment. He answered that nothing was cut, just reorganized for clarity, and that we would talk later. I did not like the way he wrote clarity. It felt too formal. I read it out loud to Tam, twisting the tone so it sounded even colder. She shook her head and said he was giving red flags. She told me to make sure I had my own money ready in case things went south. I told her I did not need to worry because, in the end, Noah would always choose me. I said he did not have the guts to do anything real. Luca passed my desk again near the end of the day. He asked if I was going out that weekend and said he knew a rooftop with an even better view. I smiled and said maybe. I told him my situation at home was complicated, but that I was figuring it out. He said he understood and that I should not stay somewhere that dimmed me. His eyes lingered a bit too long, and I let them. On the way home, I sat on the train and scrolled through my post again. Some comments had started to ask where my husband was, and one or two said it was mean to crop him out. I ignored those. I liked only the comments that called me strong, brave, or too good for drama. I told myself those people saw the real me, even though they only saw what I chose to show them. When I walked into the apartment, it felt different. Noah was at the table with a notebook and his laptop. He closed the screen when I came in. I tossed my bag down and made a joke about his serious face. He said he just had some things to sort out. I asked about the budgeting app and said he was making me look like a child. He said he was just organizing, that this way everything would be clear if we needed to make changes later. I laughed and asked what kind of changes he thought were coming. I told him he was being dramatic and insecure over nothing, that all I wanted was a little fun and appreciation. I said if he trusted me, he would not need all these passwords and notes. He just looked at me for a long moment and wrote something small in his notebook. I went to the bathroom to take selfies in the mirror for my story, telling myself once again that respect follows results. And I had the results right in my hand. Views, likes, messages. I did not notice that his phone, lying on the counter, lit up with another silent reminder for that same downtown 10:45 a.m. the next week. A few days later, I told myself everything would calm down if Noah just relaxed. I also knew he wouldn't. That is why, when he suggested a family dinner at a restaurant, I decided to use it. If people could see how stiff and boring he was, maybe they would finally understand why I needed more. The restaurant was busy and warm, with long tables and noisy families. They pushed 2 tables together for us. My mother and Lena were already there when we arrived, sitting on one side with menus open like they owned the place. Helena waved me over and said she had booked early because she knew I liked good light for photos. She always thinks of things that matter. Noah walked in behind me carrying a small box. It looked like another gift, something simple. He greeted everyone quietly, hugging my mother, shaking hands with my father, nodding at Lena. He sat near the middle, not at the head, not at the end. I noticed that right away. I chose a seat across from him, next to Lena, where I knew I could see his face the whole time. Soon his side of the family came in as well. Marta smiled politely and kissed my cheek. Jonas made a small joke about the traffic. They sat opposite Helena and Lena, like 2 teams facing each other. I told myself I was the one in the middle, the one both sides cared about. It felt powerful. Menus went around, and everyone started talking at once. I watched Noah. He was answering questions about work, about a project he was on. People seemed interested, but his tone was calm, steady. I felt restless listening to it. I wanted energy, not that slow, careful talk. When drinks arrived, Helena raised her glass and said we should toast to my birthday week. She made it sound like I deserved a whole week, not just a day. Everyone lifted their glasses. Noah smiled and said I worked hard and deserved good things. It was a nice line, but it sounded flat to me. Too expected. After the toast, Helena pulled out her phone and mentioned the photo from the rooftop. She asked if everyone had seen the famous crop. She said it with a laugh, like it was a funny story we all shared. My stomach prickled with excitement. This was my moment. Helena showed the picture around, the one where Noah wasn't there. Lena leaned across and showed Marta and Jonas. They both looked at it for a long time. Marta's mouth tightened. Jonas raised his eyebrows and looked at Noah. Marta asked if he'd gone to the party at all. Before Noah could answer, I cut in and said he had been there, but looked like he'd rather be at home with his spreadsheets. I said the vibe was off, so the picture had to match the fun. People laughed. Not everyone, but enough. Noah looked at me slowly. He said he had been there all night and had taken the day off to make it special. He pointed out that the caption made it sound like he hadn't come at all. I shrugged and said, "People understand jokes, that no one reads so seriously." I said he was choosing to be hurt. Jonas quietly said that if he had been cropped out like that, he might feel bad too. I rolled my eyes and said that was the problem, that the men in this family are too sensitive. Helena nodded and said men needed to toughen up if they wanted strong women. She said my post was iconic. That word again. I loved it. I kept talking. I told them Noah had complained about me tagging Luca too much. I made it sound like he wanted to control my followers and content, like he wanted me smaller. I said he didn't support my work. Noah shook his head and said he only asked me not to flirt publicly with another man while pretending he didn't exist. I laughed and asked if it was really flirting to stand next to someone in a picture. Lena shifted in her seat. She asked if maybe, just maybe, the caption was a bit harsh. I snapped back that she was single and didn't understand what it was like to have someone holding you back. I said she would probably jump at a man like Noah because she didn't have options. Her face closed down. Helena told me not to be mean to my sister, but she said it lightly. She didn't really push. The food arrived. Plates of pasta, salads, bread baskets. For a while, people tried to talk about other things, but I kept dragging it back. I said I refused to be a background character in my own marriage. I said anyone who loved me would be proud to see me shine, even if it made them feel small sometimes. I was sure that sounded strong. At one point, Noah asked calmly if we could talk about this later, in private. He said he didn't like being discussed at the table like he wasn't sitting there. I told him that if he didn't want to be discussed, he shouldn't behave in ways that gave us something to talk about. I made sure to smile as I said it, like it was light. People laughed out of discomfort. I noticed, but I told myself they were just jealous of my courage. Marta put her hand on Noah's arm and said this felt unfair. She said a marriage should not be a show. Helena answered that hiding problems only helps the man, and that I had a right to speak my truth. The table split along that line. My mother on my side, his mother on his. It was almost perfect. During dessert, Lena pulled out her phone and snapped a quick video of me and Helena laughing. She said she was posting family jokes and tagged me. I leaned into it, making another comment about men who can't handle strong wives. Some people at nearby tables looked over. That attention made me feel bigger, even as Noah's shoulders slowly tightened. I noticed then that Noah's phone was lying on the table near his plate, screen dark but face up. When he saw me looking, he pressed a button, and the screen lit for a second. I saw a small red bar at the top, like something was recording. He calmly tapped it, and the red bar disappeared. He locked the screen and put the phone down again. He excused himself and went to the front to pay the bill, even though the night had torn into him. I watched him from a distance, standing at the counter, card in hand, shoulders straight. No scene, no fight with the staff, just calm. When he came back, he sat down and looked around the table once, slowly, like he was saving the image. I made another joke about how he always pays but never likes the story that comes with it. Some people laughed softly. Others looked away. Noah didn't answer. He just reached for his phone. The screen lit again, and for a moment I saw the notification. Voice memo saved. He turned the phone over so the screen faced the table and folded his hands, as if he were done talking for the night. A week after that restaurant dinner, I could feel little cracks forming around me, but I kept telling myself I was the only sane one. The others were too sensitive, too old-fashioned, too scared of what I was becoming. That is what I told myself anyway. When my mother invited us over for a Sunday meal at her house, I decided it would be another chance to fix the story. If I spoke first, I could shape how everyone thought. Helena's house always smelled like hair dye and fried onions. She had the table set when we walked in, with mismatched plates and bright plastic flowers in a jar. She greeted me with a big hug and told me she had been bragging about her beautiful daughter all week. She said my birthday posts were her favorite thing on the internet. She said that with her usual excited tone, and it filled me up. Noah followed behind me, carrying a bottle of wine he had picked up. He handed it to her and said it was a small thank you. She took it, but did not look at him for long. Her attention went back to me quickly. Lena came out from the kitchen with a salad bowl and gave Noah a small, careful smile. I noticed how she looked at both of us, like she was trying to read the air. We sat down in the cramped dining room. The TV in the corner was on low, some talent show, with the sound almost muted. Helena liked background noise. She said it kept the house from feeling empty. As we started eating, Helena asked again about the restaurant night, because she loved that story. She said she had told her clients at the salon about the legendary crop, and they had all laughed. She repeated some of the reactions back to us. I laughed with her and said people understood I was just setting a standard. I said that if a man wanted to stand next to me in a picture, he had to act like he deserved it. Noah chewed slowly and watched me. At one point he said, in a gentle voice, that he did not like hearing about our marriage used as salon entertainment. He said he preferred private talks. I answered that pretending everything was perfect when it was not was worse. I said I was just being honest about my feelings. Helena nodded and said honesty is better than pretending. She did not seem to notice that my honesty was only one side. Lena asked how things were at home lately. She did not sound playful. She sounded cautious. I took that as criticism. I told her that Noah had become very serious and controlling. I said he had changed passwords, watched every cent, and made a small thing into a big drama. I did not mention my own spending or the way I had mocked him online. I made it sound like he had started a war over nothing. Noah put his fork down and said there had been reasons for the changes. He said money needed to be clear if the situation was unstable. He did not say who made it unstable. I jumped in anyway. I said he was treating me like a child, locking things away because he couldn't handle my social life. I said any woman would feel trapped. Helena shook her head and said she remembered what it was like to live with a man who wanted every receipt. She told him that trying to control a woman with money never ends well. I liked that she said that. It gave my anger a warm coat. Lena looked down at her plate. She asked if I still loved Noah. The question annoyed me. I said of course I did, but love was not enough if he refused to grow. I said I needed a partner who saw my potential and did not cling to me in fear. I added that sometimes I wondered if he only married me because he thought I would stay small. That hit him. He said he had never tried to keep me small, that he had supported my career from the start. He mentioned times he had helped with my portfolio, my late nights, even my events. I cut him off. I said, support that comes with constant criticism is not support. I said, if he really believed in me, he would not be worried about a simple coworker friendship or a few suggestive captions. Helena backed me, telling him that younger men needed to learn that strong women attract attention and that he should be proud, not threatened. Noah fell quiet. I told myself that meant I had won. After lunch, Helena went to clear dishes, and Lena offered to help. They left us at the table. Noah took out his phone and tapped it a few times. I saw a thread on the screen for a second. The top message preview simply read follow-up with a date. He turned the phone away quickly, then placed it face down next to his glass. I asked if he was texting another woman, trying to throw the discomfort back at him. He said no, that he had been talking with someone about options for our situation. He did not say who. I laughed and said he sounded like a corporate email, not a husband. I said he always hid behind formal words when he didn't want to admit he was just jealous. Later, when we were leaving, he asked if we could stop by the park near our building. He said he needed to talk without our mothers there. The sky was grey but not too cold, so I agreed. I imagined another chance to push him into the role of the guilty one. We sat on a bench near the playground. Children ran around in coats, and their parents stood in small groups, drinking coffee from paper cups. It was loud enough that no one would hear us clearly. Noah sat with his elbows on his knees, looking straight ahead. He said he felt like he was losing me, and that he had been trying to check if there was someone else, if something had already happened. I rolled my eyes and said he was paranoid. I told him all I wanted was freedom to be myself without him accusing me all the time. I said if I felt like cheating, he would know, because I would actually leave. That was not true. At that time, I was already halfway in something with Luca in my head. He asked directly, in a calm voice, if there was anything romantic or physical between me and Luca. He did not raise his voice or beg. He just asked for truth. I said he was crazy for even thinking that. I said Luca respected me more than that, and that it was insulting. He thought I would cross that line. I threw the accusation back, saying it showed he did not trust my judgment. I told him his suspicion was the real betrayal. He listened, then said he had seen how Luca looked at me and how I looked back. He said co-workers did not usually lean into each other that much for professional pictures. I snapped. I told him if he wanted a wife who faded in the background, he should have chosen someone else. I said men waited in line for me now, and he was acting like I should be grateful he even showed up. He went quiet again. The quiet made me angry. I said if he did not like who I was becoming, he could find someone simpler, someone on his level. I made sure to say it with a sharp little smile, like it was a joke. It landed like a punch anyway. After a moment, he straightened up and reached into his jacket. He pulled out a small sticky note and pressed it into his notebook. I could see the words, "Bring forms," written in neat letters before he closed it. The notebook slid back into his bag. I asked what forms he was talking about. He answered that there were some things he needed to prepare in case we couldn't fix this. He said he did not want to be unprepared again. I laughed and told him he was being dramatic and cold, like he wanted this to fall apart, just so he could say he told me so. He said he didn't want it to fall apart, but that he could not ignore what was happening anymore. He said words could not be taken back once they were said in front of families and online. He looked tired as he said it, older than he was. I told him fatigue was not an excuse to play the victim. I reminded him that I was the one everyone watched, the one who had to keep up appearances. I said if he loved me, he would help me shine, instead of writing little notes about forms. He did not argue. He just watched a child run by with a kite, then looked down at his phone as it buzzed. I saw a cloud sync notification flash briefly on his screen. File uploaded successfully. Then he locked it, slid it into his pocket, and said we should head home. I walked beside him, annoyed that he had ruined another afternoon with his calm, heavy words, still sure that I could talk my way out of anything if it ever really came to a test. A few weeks after the talk in the park, the air in the apartment felt different. It was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet and sharp, like the space between two people who are about to step away from each other but have not moved yet. I told myself it was just a phase. I said he was sulking and that he would come back around once he realized he could not win against me. One Monday morning, I woke up and Noah was already dressed, shirt tucked in, hair neat. He usually worked from home on Mondays, but he had his jacket on and his car keys in his hand. I asked if he had an early meeting at the office. He said he had some things to take care of in town. He did not offer details. That annoyed me. I told him he was getting secretive and acting like I was the enemy. He said he was just being practical. Then he left. I sat on the bed for a minute, feeling a small flicker of uncertainty. I pushed it away. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my messages. Luca had sent a reply from the night before, short and lazy, saying he might be busy this week with other shoots. No heart, no joke, nothing extra. It bothered me more than Noah leaving in silence. Around midday, while I was half working at the kitchen table, my phone buzzed with a bank notification. There was a message that some access levels on our joint accounts had been updated. I opened the app and saw that certain parts were grayed out. I could see balances, but some transfer options were locked. There was a note saying changes had been made by the primary account holder. Heat rose in my chest. I called Noah right away. He picked up after a few rings. I asked what he had done to the accounts. He said calmly that he had met with someone at the bank to reorganize things for clarity and safety. I told him that sounded like a prison sentence. I said he was punishing me for being social and successful. He answered that he was protecting himself, nothing more. I did not like that phrase at all. He said I still had access to what I needed, that nothing was taken from me, only separated. I said separation sounded like divorce talk and accused him of wanting out so he could look like the noble one. I said he was trying to push me into making the first move so he could blame me. He did not bite. He just repeated that the changes were legal and normal, and that we could discuss them when we were both calm. I was not calm. After we hung up, I called Helena and told her everything, but from my angle. I said he had locked me out and was trying to control me with money. She gasped and said that was exactly what my father used to do. She told me I needed to be smart and think about what I would get if this turned into something official. She used that word, official, like a threat. She said, if he wanted to act like this, I should make sure I did not walk away with nothing. She suggested I start keeping my own notes, my own records of every time he withheld something. Later that week, I heard from Jonas through a mutual friend that he and Marta had seen a lot of Noah lately. They were at her townhouse more often, doors closed, lights on late. I pictured them sitting around a table, talking about me, like I was a storm that needed a wall to block it. The idea made me both angry and scared. I sent Jonas a message asking if Noah was okay. He replied with a short line saying Noah was sorting things out and that it was probably for the best. That phrase bothered me too. I asked what things meant. He did not answer right away. Hours later, he sent another short message saying Noah was just getting advice. No details. I told myself it was just more drama and that they were trying to make me think something serious was happening when it wasn't. One evening, I came home from work and found Noah in the kitchen, going through a folder. On the counter, I saw labels: utilities, household, bank. Inside, there were printouts and notes, all neat and sorted. A small USB stick sat near the edge of the folder, labeled with a date in black pen. The sight annoyed me. It felt like he was turning our life into a project. I asked if he was planning to sue me or something. He said no, that he just wanted everything clear in case we needed a formal separation. He said he was tired of confusion. I told him that collecting papers like this made him look cold and calculating. I said real love does not need folders and USB sticks. He answered that real love does not need lies and public shaming either. That stung, so I changed the subject. I told him I had options. I said I could move in with friends if I needed. I said I had people who wanted me, people who saw my value. I did not say Luca's name, but it hung in the air. I expected him to react, to get jealous, to beg me not to go. He did not. He just looked at me for a long moment and asked very calmly if I wanted to leave. The question froze me. I said he was twisting my words. I said I was only reminding him that he was lucky to have me. I told him that if he kept acting like a victim, he might push me into someone else's arms. I made it sound like it would be his fault. He took a breath and said no one could push anyone into an affair. He said if I crossed that line, it would be my choice. The way he said it made me feel seen, and I hated that feeling. Around that time, Luca became less available. He cancelled one meetup, then another. When he did reply, his messages were short. He said he was busy or tired. I told myself he was just being careful because of work. In my head, I started to blame Noah for that too. I said his energy was ruining my chances at happiness with someone else. One night, after a long day of silent tension, I confronted Noah in the kitchen. The lights were harsh on the white tiles. I told him he was pushing me away with all these changes, that he was making me feel like a criminal for wanting a life. I said he used to be sweet and supportive, and now he was cold, hiding behind numbers and folders. He listened without interrupting. Then he said he had tried being sweet, tried talking, tried waiting for me to stop humiliating him. He said none of that had worked, so now he was doing something else. I asked what something else meant. He said he was done arguing in circles, and that from now on, he would handle everything properly. He used that word clearly, like a decision had been made. I laughed in his face. I asked if he thought he was in a movie, talking like that. I said he was bluffing, that he did not have it in him to really leave me or change anything real. I told him he was addicted to me, that he would always come back, even if he played tough for a while. He did not rise to it. He simply picked up his mug and moved it to the far end of the counter, away from mine. Then he took the thick, unmarked envelope that had been lying beside the household folder and walked to the hallway. I heard the soft click of the locked drawer as he put it inside. When he came back, he washed his mug, dried it carefully, and set it alone on the opposite side of the sink. He said again, in a low, even voice, that he was finished arguing, finished begging, and finished being a character in my stories. He said that whatever happened next, he would make sure it followed the rules, not my moods. Then he turned off the kitchen light and went to the bedroom, leaving me standing there in the dark, my phone screen lighting my face, still convinced that in the end I would be the one writing the ending, not him. The day I finally understood what properly meant, the courthouse lobby smelled like coffee and old paper. I arrived in my best blazer, makeup sharp, ready to act hurt and dignified. I thought it was just a meeting to calm things down. I thought I would walk out with more money and a better apology. Noah was already there, standing beside a woman in a dark suit with a slim folder in her hand. She introduced herself as his lawyer and spoke to me like I was a stranger, not his wife. Noah nodded once at me, polite but distant. No anger, no pleading, nothing I could use. We sat at a table in a small room off the lobby. The mediator went over simple rules. I started with my usual lines. I said Noah had become controlling, that he used money to punish me, that I only made harmless jokes online. I said I felt unsafe with his mood swings. I thought it sounded good. His lawyer opened the folder and slid a pile of papers toward the mediator. Screenshots of my posts, my cropped photo and caption, comments where I hinted he never showed up, videos from the restaurant with my voice loud and clear, bank statements with my secret ride shares and hotel charges matched to Luca's invoices, a printout of messages where I wrote to Tam that I was basically done with my husband. Then she placed the divorce petition on the table, with proposed asset division and notice of restricted access to the joint accounts, effective immediately.